Stay alone, part of the content reactions where I'll be applying the fundamentals discussed on this channel to the modern day with culturally relevant content. So, in other words, just being able to talk about what is discussed on the It Be What It Be podcast and being able to apply that to culturally relevant content, or in other words, reacting to YouTube videos. That being said, welcome back to the channel and the live stream. You will be noticing that I'm actually going to be live streaming to some new destinations. I am live on Twitch right now. I'm also live on Kick. So I'm just going to showcase some of that. But first, we're going to move over to here. And in fact, I'll actually make it like this. So, as you can see, the It Be What It Be podcast, there is a new layout overall. I'll even just give this a refresh with the homepage, a new homepage that's been added in. You can find some of the different live streams that I have in regards to the fundamentals and also the content reactions. They are now playlist organized, and then the shorts, you can see all of those right over there as well. As I said, that I am in fact live streaming at the very least on Twitch. Looks like I still have some more to work out when it comes to Kick, but you'll be able to see on Twitch and looks like it's taking its sweet time to load. Let's see here. Because what it is that I'm just trying to display is that we do have a Twitch account for the It Be What It Be podcast. And that is just an alternative that you can use. That is taking longer than I'd like for it to load. So, and I noticed that I do have one viewer. So I am actually just going to get on with the content. But we do have a Twitch channel, It Be What It Be podcast. And I'm going to be going back to where I was at with YouTube, where I was should be able to. There we go. And I'm also just going to let you know that we do have a number of different socials as well: Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Blue Sky, and TikTok. But that being said, let's get to the main course. And that is going to be about staying alone. And so I have some videos over here that I want to be reacting to and giving just my position on. I'm going to be starting off with this video.
Living alone at a young age is like
That
being
has to
born in.
deal with What They Don't Tell You About Living Alone by Sam Adams 3 months ago. And I'm even going to say myself that I live alone myself as of right now. And it is one of the most ideal states that I've ever had in my life. I will also caveat that by saying that I definitely would not say that I'm anti living with roommates or even living with a significant other. What I will say is that they are an amplifier either way. What that means is that if you are with the right people, then they can make the experience even better. And if you are with the wrong people, they can make the experience even worse. And that'll also go with family as well. That's another living arrangement that you could have. So, roommates, a significant other, family that I can think of, essentially. So, I would say that it's an amplifier, but I am living alone as of right now. And it is my favorite living arrangement as of right now. But that being said, let's continue to look into this content and give some reacts.
Living alone at a young age is like being born into a new world. It was a world of hard truths I had to face. And with those hard truths came growth, character development, and one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my early adulthood. There were too many things I wasn't prepared for, like getting home tired, not wanting to put the effort into cooking and feeding myself, and worrying about how expensive groceries have become. Plus, if I chose not to cook, I'll be paying $20 for a meal that may or may not fill me up. Nope.
So, just that there's a lot that was really being said there. In fact, Geez, I mean, basically the character development, and yes, I'm going to also just change the destination here. I am largely doing this because I don't want to run into some sort of copyright strike, but certainly yes, the character development is something that I do think is extremely important by all means, especially just since in terms of the character development, it really is up to you, and everything you have to take care of on your own. If you don't do it, it doesn't get done, period. Pros and cons to that. There's also, if you don't do it, it's not like somebody else did it for you. It's not like I'm living with a roommate and someone else is going and using some of my materials or my contents, and then I don't even know where that is. So what it is that I'm trying to get at is that there's pros and cons. I've lived with my family, I've lived with roommates, I've lived on my own. As I'm saying, this is definitely my favorite living arrangement. But certainly, yes, if you don't have groceries and you have to go pay money for a meal for sure, and then that can be quite a lot more. I mean, yeah, $20. So there you have it. And yeah, you're not sure if that's going to fill you up, and you're not necessarily even sure what the portioning of that meal is going to be. So there's definitely a lot of merit to just knowing that you have to really take care of yourself in that regard. And I even also noticed that I really had to be a lot more cognizant of my portion sizes, because there's one time where I just got a bunch of bacon, and I had to realize that I needed to set the bacon up in a way using Ziploc bags, so that then I only have a certain amount of bacon in the fridge at the time and the rest of it's in the freezer. Because with what was in the fridge, if I had all of the bacon in the fridge, I, as a single individual, would not be able to go through all of the all of the food without in a fast enough time for it to not expire. So I thought that that was very interesting, but nonetheless.
Nobody tells you how normal not socializing becomes. They don't tell you the only way to speak to someone is through the phone. If you want human interaction, you have to leave the house or bask in silence. They don't tell you that once your work is
Just on that, I mean, if you want human interaction, you could also just go out of your way to invite people over. By all means. I mean, you get to choose when and how you have that social interaction, because I've been in the opposite end where I'd be at work and then I come home, I live with roommates, and then I don't really want to socially interact. I just want to be somewhat of a recluse, or I want to be antisocial because I was so social at work, working in a job that had to deal with interacting with customers on a regular basis. In any case.
over, your chores and tasks are completed, you have food and everything looks good, then now you're facing a new issue: boredom. I spend too much time looking at my ceiling while laying down on the floor.
I think that boredom is definitely just depending on the person, 1000%, because I would find that there's plenty that I have to entertain me for sure. Different YouTube videos. There's a lot of shows that I like to watch. Still trying to keep up with the gym, trying to do this content creation. I mean, I'm into language learning, among other factors. There's so much that I'm really trying to do to fill up my day, and a lot of time I actually feel like there's not even enough hours in the day, plus the amount of time that you may spend going to work as well. So I actually think that it's pretty fine for me, but I definitely think that it would be different depending on the person.
For no reason at all. You get wrapped up in your thoughts and forget where you are. They don't tell you remember to speak today, because the days you spend home all day, you have no reason to vocalize. It's strange. They don't let you know that it'll become a test of discipline. Your home reflects.
That I think is actually pretty interesting in terms of remember to speak today, because I actually do talk out loud quite a bit to be able to articulate my thoughts. I think that it helped me a lot with being able to actually articulate and streamline my thoughts. So that's not really a problem for me, but I can imagine I believe that I'm an outlier in that regard, so I can imagine what that would be like for the average person, but nonetheless. And then, yes, the discipline. Yeah, absolutely. Your home is a reflection of you for sure. If you don't clean it, if you don't do it, it doesn't get done for sure.
You being able to keep it clean, keep food on your own table, and pay for the roof over your head are direct reflections of who you've become as a person. They don't tell you that you become your own person. You don't rely on anyone ever. And if something needs to be done, you'll do it. They don't tell you how many new hobbies you might try out, like reading, meditating, juggling, acrobatics, and even cooking. They don't tell you that your home becomes a safe place for the ones you love. Your arms are always open for people once you live alone. They don't tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as I was saying, it really, you have to keep it clean, keep the food on the table, keep on paying the rent. I have never had a late rent payment in my life. Never. I'm pretty proud of that. And I've been living on my own for more than half a decade now. So, very proud of that.
You that while there's a whole lot of upsides, there are plenty of downsides that come right with it. But that never means not to move out. If you can, you should. You'll become a better version of yourself within days.
I definitely do think that, and we all do this alike,
I
and
didn't know Uber had senior discounts.
I'm a freshman.
laws over here. And so I think that that's very interesting. And I'll see what his channel is about as well, just in general. So, yeah, I can tell that just from looking at his body that he certainly tries to work out. Yeah, the living alone video is very popular. So, I mean, good for him. And yeah, I always like to try to see just other content creators and what they've done with their video, with their channels. So yeah, he's 19. Yeah, starting his financial journey at 18. Good for him. Seems like a relatively young guy. If he was 18 then 4 years ago, then and I can imagine 4+ years ago, maybe 5 years ago, he's like 22, 23 at this point. So when he says living alone at a young age, I definitely think that that's very interesting. Interesting. Good for him. So, that being said, I'm just going to leave that one alone and I'm going to, in terms of being alone, I am going to move on to another video. But, yeah, just it goes back to certainly I'm very happy with living alone. It doesn't seem like he's ever lived with roommates. He might have been from family to alone.
The client review was
I'm
brutal.
also very proud of living alone in terms of just the current cost of living scenario. So I'm certainly making it. And I would say that, yeah, I'm keeping my head above water and all of that. So I'm very, very happy with that. And that I do think it allows you to really become more of yourself because you are alone. You have more of an ability to do what it is that you want to do. And it also really helped me out a lot with being able to know that I could confidently walk away from certain situations. So, with that being said, we're going to move on to the next video.
When I started living alone, no one told me that life was complicated. When you come home from work, there is no hot food waiting for you. You can only open the refrigerator by yourself and drag your tired body to make your own dinner. When the lamp in your kitchen breaks down, you will wonder whether or not to repair it.
So, couple factors there. And first of all, that, yeah, you're coming home, there's no food that's already ready. To me now, that just seems like obviously, but I could imagine, yeah, if someone's living in a family, or I mean, if you're living with roommates, also, your own food's not going to be ready. If you're living with a partner or family, then yeah, it's not going to be just yourself. Someone else can help you with making that. But I really think that that's just part of being an adult, and I think that there's a few factors that can be done to overcome that. I mean, certainly there's microwavable dinners. Certainly there is meal prepping as well. There's meal prep services too, for example, Factor Meals, for example, I've used that for some time. So, there's options, and to me, yeah, now it just seems like, yeah, like, obviously, but I acknowledge that that wouldn't be the case for everyone. They're talking about the light bulb as well. I mean, whenever I live alone, there's maintenance generally. I don't have a condo per se, but yeah, there's been maintenance. So, nonetheless, that's just never really been an issue for me, but nonetheless.
It seems that you can skip dinner anyway. When you want to talk to someone before you go to bed, you find that you can only contact others by mobile phone, but no one can chat with you face to face. When you live alone, you will feel a little bored and tired. But
So, in those regards, I mean, that's just never really been an issue for me. Certainly, yes, if you want to talk to someone, it's on the phone. I really like having the control of who I do and don't talk to. And just being bored, I mean, I think that we really have so many distractions. We have a phone, we have a TV, smart TV, if you will, we have a computer. I think that there's so many distractions, video games, even, you know, vices, ways to lose sobriety. It's not really been an issue for me. A lot of the time, I just find it to be a relief that I have a lot more control over my social circle and that I'm able to curate that. And I've been able to slowly but surely build more of the lifestyle that I want to have. And if you want to do face to face video call, I don't think it's that big of a deal personally. But, anyways.
as time goes on, you will gradually enjoy your own life. The first thing you noticed is it's quiet, really quiet. You can go an entire weekend without talking. It is like living in a vacuum, just the soft hum of a fan or AC running. When you come home from work, you can rest on the sofa or bed for a while and start.
So they talk about it's quiet, really quiet. Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I talk to myself. Other than that, I mean, play music, play a podcast. YouTube is the main source of media that I use. Like, it's actually generally never quiet for me because usually when I wake up, I put some sort of YouTube video on. I find that there's more content than I can keep up with. So I don't really actually relate to the lack thereof noise. I've always had a TV, a phone, a speaker. There's always something going on for me. I actually heavily disagree with it's quiet, but I could imagine even back in the day, although back in the day, and I mean, decades ago, people were more likely to be in a family, but nonetheless.
Thinking about what to eat tonight. At this time, you open the refrigerator, which contains all kinds of food you like. Your cooking skills have gradually improved, and you have begun to learn how to make your favorite recipes. You know how to repair the toilet and how to install a new lamp. You start to constantly dress up your space and make.
I like it. Yeah, in terms of just basically you become more of yourself. Like your space really does become that reflection of you. You learn more about making your own meals. I've learned more about just being able to make certain customizations to my apartment as well. And I mean, my apartment is now also my podcast and content creation studio as well. So I'm pretty proud of a lot of that. I've really gotten used to it now and I prefer it. I actually, even just being able to have a temperature that you're more comfortable with, literally, because if I was living with someone else, then I'd have to compromise on the temperature, for example. So just a scenario like that, I think, is actually very interesting, but nonetheless.
Make your room the most satisfied. All the space around you can be used to reflect your complete mindset. Oh, and your music all the time. And also, take the phrase, dance like nobody's watching, to a whole new level. When you are ready to go to bed, you will set aside some time to chat with friends, and then make an appointment to come out.
So yeah, it just goes back to that personal space. that space being a reflection of yourself. Yeah, you do have the ability to do whatever it is that you want to do in that space. Especially, I could be more of myself. As the one place that I could be myself. See, I don't care what anyone says. You cannot be 100% of yourself if you are in a relationship or if you're around other people. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. I really don't. You cannot be 100% of yourself if you are in a relationship or you are with other people. I don't care. Anywho. And then, I mean, chat with friends towards the night. Realistically, I'll say something more about that. I mean, I have definitely found that being friends as an adult is a lot more difficult than being friends when when I was in school, or even just yeah, when I was younger, essentially, because there's always being in a place where I'm around other people, essentially, and we're there because of that scenario. And I've always known this, that I've always known that the main reason why I'm seeing this person is because we're going to the same school with each other. And it really became a lot more apparent to me as an adult, really having to make the effort to go and see other people. And I also just generally find it, and in more urban areas, it seems like people don't generally make as much of an effort to go and hang out with other people. I just generally noticed that. So, nonetheless.
And get together. Then you start to arrange your own entertainment activities, watch your favorite movies, or do some handicrafts, or learn how to play a new instrument. In short, when you start to live alone, you will feel a little overwhelmed, but gradually, you will fall in love with it.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a change, and there's going to be, it's like when I go to the gym, if I haven't gone to the gym in a while, or the first time I went to the gym, then I noticed how much my body hurt from doing some of the workouts. And I mean, stretching definitely helps with that, but nonetheless, I noticed how much my body hurt. And now I don't really feel that pain as much anymore. So basically, you get used to it.
Because you will be freer, and you will be more responsible for yourself.
Okay, so it just seems like it is just going into a new scene, and I'm just switching between myself and the video just to avoid the copyright, just for your awareness. Yeah, just a lot more just of this new scene, so I guess we'll just see where it goes. Looks like the video's finishing up, but nonetheless, I'll just give it its chance to finish, see what else it may have to say. Yeah, so it looks like it's basically done at this point, and yeah, there's not really much more left to see with the video.
One day, you need to learn to live by yourself.
If you hate constantly being swarmed by
And
ads, you need to download Pi. It's a free.
and so then at the end of the day, then okay, yep. So I don't have YouTube Premium on this account, so yes, I'm going to be getting ads every now and then. But with all that being said, I'm just going to put in just some final thoughts. I've heard that there are people who say that living alone or moving out of your parents' place is a scam. And it's essentially that our society encourages us to no longer live with our parents anymore and that other societies don't do that. And I think that there's pros and cons. I definitely do think that living on your own, excuse me, is adulting. And I do think that it is a worthwhile experience to be able to become a well-rounded adult that's capable of really taking care of a household on their own and taking care of a place on their own. I really do think that that is very worthwhile and ideal. And I am certainly proud of myself with that. I think that that is a massive accomplishment. I think that, like I said, I don't care what anyone says. You're not able to be 100% of yourself and you're not able to do whatever it is that you want to do with your own place unless you are alone. And even then, I mean, living in an apartment, then I have, neighbors around me, so can't really be too loud or what have you. It's not like it's an independent property, among other factors. So that's an issue as well. But nonetheless, some people also then make a distinction between individualist and collectivist cultures. And I think that in some ways I've seen both because I do live in a Western country, but at the same time, my parents, I was born in a Western country, and my parents are immigrants who came from a non-Western country, came from an African country, and I'll just leave it there. But my point being is that there's a lot of more of a collectivist mindset. And some people would say, oh, when you're in this individualism, that now they encourage you to be separated from your family. It's more expensive. It's a scam. You ought to stay at home and save your money and what have you. But like I was saying, there's restrictions in that regard. And that, oh, they condition you and the individualist society to do everything by yourself, and you don't actually need to do that, and nobody's actually trying to come and pull you to the next social event. And I mean, I do think that there's a lot of merit to doing a lot by yourself. Certainly it's not everything by yourself. I mean, literally I benefit from being in a society to an extent, right? Like, I didn't make this building. I didn't make If I go to the grocery store, I go to a restaurant, I didn't go and catch the food for myself. I didn't set up the internet, my phone and computer. I didn't make, like, in a way, you're not really self-made in that regard. But yeah, there is also the certain level of, and I think that in urban centers, I think that a lot of people are socially lazy and socially negligent, and men especially, frankly negligent. Like, I generally get the impression that people are pursuing either physical intimacy or trying to make a buck, get paid, and that other than that, that they don't value interpersonal interaction beyond that, such as making friends. It's either their family, their pursuit of physical intimacy, their their job. But I think that friendship is very undervalued, and I think that part of that is that people just don't value it, which I heavily disagree with. I think that there is a lot that friendship has to offer, and I also think that people are very lazy and don't put the effort into maintaining friendships, which, I mean, there is friendships are going to be work, especially as an adult. There was a quote that I heard from Mark Manson which he got from Plato. And I want to see if I can find it. And I believe that I have managed to find it. And I know that I'm drawing a blank over here. I didn't know that I was going to also try to talk about this. I can't necessarily find it, so I won't waste too much of your time. But basically, it just had to say, I wonder if this might be it. It basically was saying that platonic love is some of the purest forms of love simply because it's not a love that has some level of obligation to it. If you and I mean there's one more thing that I'm just going to try here. Yeah, I'm not exactly. I have to do a better job. There's one last thing I'm going to try here. One last. There's one last thing. I'm going to figure this out. Because I really, really am itching to get this quote over to you all, and really am itching. I really do want to get this quote over. And it's coming from Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a You Know What podcast. Because now I'm really into. I'm just really into this idea of trying to figure out what it is that. Okay, hang on a minute. We're getting somewhere. Yes. Yes, finally. Finally found it. Okay. Yes, we have it for you. I apologize that this took, so long. I didn't think it was gonna be so difficult to. This is finally. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, yes, I figured it out. Yes. And all right, let's just do this. And yeah, I'll just add this one in. Added some more time to the live stream. I really apologize for that. I didn't think it was going to be so hard to Google search, but I'll just try to come a bit more prepared with that in the future. But let's just see what they have to say.
Feel about them the same way if like a family member is annoying or self-destructive in some way. It doesn't change my affection for them. So it is almost like it's like a platonic love, which the Greeks argued was actually the highest.
So there we go. Yeah. Platonic love. I'm going to just change this over so that then I just don't catch a copyright, especially given how big his channel is. But yes, the platonic love is definitely something that I want to also raise just to end this off.
Form of love. I don't remember if it was Plato or Aristotle. It was Greeks argued was actually the highest form of love. I don't remember if it was Plato or Aristotle who said that the love of two friends is actually the highest, the most pure form of love, because it's not tainted with baggage that we get with our family members and romantic partners.
Definitely. And people, when you ask them,
I like that. It's not tainted with baggage. Basically, your friends are the people that you have the most control over who you allow into your life. You don't really have control over your family members. With a significant other, certainly you do choose them, but like it's almost like it's necessary to have the love and to keep up a certain level of attraction and emotional intimacy in order to maintain the relationship. You don't have to do that with your friends.
how important friendship is to a fulfilling life, people say it's very, very important. Like twice as many people will say that that's more important than marriage, than kids, than your job. It's friends.
Absolutely. I mean, and the mental health data bears that out as well. Like there are millions of people in this world who are single and perfectly happy, living very happy, healthy lives. There is
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because it's literally, if you want companionship, you don't need a significant other for that. You don't need a girlfriend, boyfriend, partner if you want companionship. You don't need it for that.
almost nobody in this world who has zero friendships and is happy and healthy. It is more fundamental to our psychology, I think. Romantic partners or marriage partners. Yet, I think if you look at people's behavior, most people tend to sacrifice friendships for their romantic partnerships or their pursuit of some sort of partnership. So I do think people have it backwards. I think they tend to
I agree. I agree that, yeah, more people would sacrifice even. Remember Dr. Ryan Terabin had a video on this very recently about basically men need friends. Actually just came out just this week. So I may cover that in the future, but I definitely do think that that's very important. That brotherhood is very important in general. Just friends in general, male or female. In fact, I just think that women are better at men for being friends, and that even just men, they don't, like I said, socially lazy. They have the whole, oh, I haven't seen you in 5 years, and then it's like nothing ever happened. We pick up as if we just left off. But then I actually do think that there's something to like, oh, we've been friends for 10 years, but like I didn't talk to you for 4 of those years. I think that that's ridiculous nonetheless.
underestimate friendship and overestimate romance. But
Agreed.
that gets into another episode. Any final words of wisdom, Drew Burney, so that the rest of us can be as cool as you and be invited to children's birthday parties?
I'll leave you with the wisdom of old man Bernie, my dad. He said, if you want a friend, be a friend.
Doesn't get.
That's it. If you want a friend, be a friend. So when it comes down to these individual societies, I just think people are not putting the effort into being friendships. I think that it's frankly a load of BS to say that collectivist or communal societies are, maybe they're more conducive to that, but I like this almost this implication that it's exclusive to communal societies. You know, I really just don't agree with. I just think that there's a lot of social laziness and a lack of effort that comes from individualist societies. And the last thing that I'll make as a critique of communal or of collectivist societies is that, like I said, African parents, immigrant parents, there's a lot of do what's best for the family. And I'm also the youngest in my family as well. So I'm lower on the totem pole in terms of seniority and who gets to decide what happens. So in a lot of ways, my opinion doesn't matter. What it is that I want doesn't matter. And I had to be able to fight for that in part, hence one of the main reasons why I wanted to be alone. And these people, my family, believe that they're entitled to me. And some people would say, oh yeah, that's normal. But I mean, I don't think that normal is an excuse for less than ideal behavior. essentially. So I have a big problem with that, basically. I have a massive problem with that. I don't like it at all. I don't like it, you know? And I certainly do wish that it was different, but it be what it be. Name of the podcast right over here. But that's just all I'm saying is that it's like what you want doesn't matter, and you're vilified for wanting to be an individual and then using the sign language to shame, insults, guilt tripping, and nagging whenever you're not doing what it is that your family wants you to do, which I think can be really toxic as well. So it's just all of that. And so I do think that there is a lot of merit to living alone, and I certainly would advocate for that for sure. But certainly there's pros and cons, and that is just a content reaction. And at the end of the day, I think that being alone really gives you the utmost amount of power, and that you don't depend on other people, but you also have to really become comfortable with being alone, being comfortable in your own company, entertaining yourself. I don't think that that's a problem for me. I don't think that there's always like no noise. Not only do I just not talk to myself, but like I was saying, there are podcasts, there's music, TV shows, movies that are always going on for me. So it's not really the case that there's never any noise for me, and I have ways to entertain myself. And then I also have my personal projects, my personal ambitions. I mean, I think I have enough going on to make it quite ideal for me, and I don't have to compromise with anyone else. It's not like, oh, I'm using the TV in the living room, I need to compromise to like let someone else have a chance. I can play my own video games, which is another one, so on and so forth. So I think that really the entertaining yourself factor is not really that big of a deal, but it's going to be, different strokes for different folks. So just find what works out for you. But that was the It Be What It Be podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And I am going to be having a fundamentals live stream later this week.